I thought I'd do a little video about my replica of the rejkjahlid antependium. I honestly don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. There were several of these. They're said to be from the same group. One is the one from Drafslattedeer Church, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly either. I can't remember any of the others because they're so hard to pronounce. I don't think I'd ever learn to speak Icelandic. It's quite difficult. Too many syllables. But this thing was an altar frontal, and I've pretty much done a complete replica and put the colours where they ought to be. The only difference between mine and the original, cartoon wise, is that the original had an extra row of half arcades along the bottom, which were just filled with vegetation. But knowing where this one was going to be displayed meant that that would have made it too tall. I mean, it's a good metre square, and the original was just that little bit taller because it had those extra half arcades at the bottom. I mean, obviously, I think these things are made to fit certain places, and I wanted this for the altar of our reenactment church as an altar frontal. The original had has faded over 500 years, so the colours that are used here are naturally dyed colours, and the museum, I corresponded with them, they didn't have any information on which colours would have been used, so I took an educated guess at weld, madder, woad, and a little bit of walnut. So there really aren't very many colours in this. There's the undyed white, there's two shades of brown, there's a weld woad green, a good strong madder red, a woad blue, and a weld yellow. So it's really only 7 colours in the whole thing. And you're kind of meant to read these big pieces as a sort of cartoon strip, and they are quite cartoony. And the reason I like this one so much is that it has this combination of the opus anglicanum technique in the faces with the laden couchwork technique that's seen on the other altar frontals from the same series, and it's seen on things like the Bayer tapestry, which everybody knows. It's got lovely bright borders as well. Very simple borders. They're the kind of thing that you couldn't really date to any specific century in the Middle Ages. They're just a generic medieval border. They're not that much different from the little border of the Mammon cloak from 500 years earlier. I like this one though because it does have lots of detail in. So the first panel, we've got the birth of the Virgin Mary, because this is the life of the Virgin Mary here. And you've got lots of contrast couching here and for this lady's hair, and also on the baby's wrapping. And you've got these lovely stripy pillars on the bed. And then the second one, I believe this one is the presentation of the Virgin Mary at the temple. And I love the tile designs on the altar there. They really sort of reflect the intarsia tiles of the Middle Ages, but it's a lovely use of contrast couching. And then this third one, again with the fantastic tiles, is, I believe, I might get some of these wrong because it's been a while since I read up on this. It's the betrothal of the Virgin Mary in the third panel. So you're moving through her life. And then the fourth panel is the Annunciation, which has, you always get a pot plant in that one. But again, you've got more contrast couching. This piece uses more contrast couching than any other piece of laden couchwork that I've ever come across. It really takes advantage of it. And there in the nativity scene, you've got the contrast couching again with the pillow. And I love the legs on the bed. I think they're fabulous. You'd need a ladder to get in though. They'd be really tall. And then of course you've got the shepherds washing their socks by night. More contrast couching on the angel's halo. And the demonic little goats. I'm sure the angel said to them, guys, you're meant to be herding sheep, not little demon hyena things. And they go, what? And then down here, you've got baby Jesus again. And I'm not sure what that one's meant to be. I always forget that one. I'm sure somebody will remind me. And then you've got the three kings, three magi. And you've got the flight into Egypt with the wonderfully wonky donkey. So that's the rejkjahlid antependium. Oh, the other thing is to do a little close-up on these connecting wheels. In the original, you can quite clearly see that those couching bars on the connecting wheels are radial. And the only way that can be done is by putting in the laid work in a circular fashion. And I do give instructions for that on my kit details, because it's how you work curves as well. But it's proof of the technique being used in the Middle Ages. It's much more sophisticated use of laid and couched work than you see in something like the Bayeux tapestry. You've also got the extensive use of couched outline stitch instead of the usual split or stem. It uses split and stem as well, but couched outline stitch is quick and makes a really good visual impact, and it's used a lot in this piece. You can often see that the couched outline has been couched with a slightly different colour as well. So it's much more sophisticated than the earlier technique of the Bayeux tapestry, because of course this is 200 or 300 years later than the Bayeux tapestry that this technique is being used. And I know some people get very defensive about the Bayeux tapestry. They say, oh, don't insult it, don't insult it. I'm not insulting it. I'm saying that, it's an earlier example of the technique, and the style grows more sophisticated with time. That is the way that styles develop. But when I first started my Facebook group, someone had a proper flounce about the fact that I said that the Bayeux tapestry wasn't particularly sophisticated compared to other examples of the technique. I just don't get that. I mean, techniques change. It's what techniques do. Sorry, I'm rambling now. But anyway, I shall shuffle back on my butt because I've got this on the bottom of the bed. That is my replica of the rejkjahlid antependium.